It's the Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It's a Power Rankings Tuesday, presented, of course, by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Most of you know that. I love Tuesdays because I talk about every team for at least a little bit, including your team. We are presented by DraftKings. We do have winners every week, and we want you to be one of them. You could be the spread the word winner via social media. I think I want a new Facebook like this week of facebook.com/Ross Tucker NFL. So just go to facebook.com/Ross Tucker NFL and like the page. That's it. That's all you have to do. And doesn't have to be a new winner, but I will pick a winner, someone that's liked the Facebook page before, to get one of these awesome press passes or a card or a picture or whatever. Sponsor confirmation email winner. We have so many awesome sponsors right now. ExpressVPN, Simply Safe, Last Bottle Wines, Masterworks, the Game Time app, which is amazing. And then big fan of those of you that check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. And then you hit the thumbs up there to like that page. Comment on any video. I get all of the emails directly to my email. So I see every comment you make. And if it's a new name, you get a great chance to be announced as the winner on the show. And then I will do a personal cameo style video for whoever you'd like, which is really a fun thing to do. Our latest patron of the day, Colin Townsend, patreon.com/RT Media. You get the even money bets in black and white. You get the Friday picks, the press box food grades, the power rankings, and you get to be a part of our private community of Tuckheads, which is amazing. It's big show time.
The Big Show.
Good morning, Ross. Well, leading into last night's Monday Night Football game, Joe Burrow said that this game was a must-win for the Bengals. Well, that obviously didn't turn out that way since the Browns defense showed up pretty big. The final in this one, Cleveland 32, Cincinnati 13.
And honestly, it really didn't even feel that close. I mean, the Browns had a couple of interceptions in the first half. Amari Cooper had one of the worst wide receiver passes I've ever seen. No idea where he was throwing it, what he was trying to do. Threw it right to Von Bell. And then on a blitz, Brissett got blown up, and Akeem Davis-Gaither picked it off. Other than that, the score would have been way, way worse. Like way worse. And the Browns didn't even have Denzel Ward or David Njoku, their standout corner and tight end. But the Bengals, now it's a one-game sample size, but it feels like they are a different team without Jamar Chase. At least for one night they were. There wasn't a lot of scoring most of the first half until the Browns finally kind of started to wear the Bengals down and ran the ball down their throat. Chubb, who had a nice game, 20-some carries, over 100 yards, which is, we've said this before, I'll say it again, that is the Browns' recipe for success. Chubb, early and often. Got a touchdown out of a Wildcat. Then he got a 2-point conversion where they had 7 O-linemen, including an O-lineman as a tight end and a fullback. It was sweet. 8-0. And then other than that, I already talked about some of the other things. The other thing that was interesting, Evan McPherson missed a field goal, missed an extra point. You know, this is a guy that is supposed to be one of the better kickers in the NFL that really struggled. Burrow was under constant duress throughout. The Bengals couldn't really run the ball at all, so they started to just drop back pass. And Myles Garrett and the Browns were all over Burrow every time he went back to drop back pass. Much better defensive performance by the Browns than they had been having. Much better. I thought Brissett was really solid. Made some good plays from the pocket ran for a touchdown, ran when he had to. Obviously, they were clearly led by Chubb and his performance. Now we kind of wait, in particular, to see if Kareem Hunt is traded today by the Cleveland Browns, who they're 3-5 now, and the Bengals are 4-4. So it's kind of weird because it feels like because the Browns had lost a bunch in a row and because the Bengals had won a couple in a row, it feels like there was a bigger chasm between these two teams, but it's really only one game now. And the Browns have the head-to-head win. Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins both got garbage touchdowns late that may have helped your fantasy team or whatever. Other than that, it was a very, very disappointing performance. Very disappointing performance by the Bengals. You know what else is disappointing? When you're not able to get everything you want out of a Netflix subscription. We're paying for a monthly subscription, but 90% of the stuff on there you're not able to get because of your location. Luckily, with ExpressVPN, you can tap one button to access all the best hidden shows on Netflix. So Netflix has different content in every country. With ExpressVPN, you can change your online location to make it look like you're in a different country. They have nearly 100 different countries to choose from. So you can use ExpressVPN to watch like Lord of the Rings on Turkish Netflix, Top Gun on French Netflix. Amazing. Here's the best part. It's not just for Netflix. ExpressVPN works the same for Disney, BBC iPlayer, whatever. ExpressVPN even has apps for all your devices. So phone, tablet, TVs, to make it easy for you to watch the shows however you want. Get your money's worth. Get 3 extra months of ExpressVPN for free when you go to expressvpn.com/Tucker. That's expressvpn.com/Tucker. expressvpn.com/Tucker.
It's time for the all-important Power Rankings. The worst team in the history of the NFL is...
Let's start. Number 32 this week will be the Houston Texans.
And I will be watching the Houston Texans in person Thursday night, calling their game against the Eagles for Westwood One. Watch their game against the Titans to prepare. Whew. That's a rough squad, bro. That is a rough team. They couldn't stop Derrick Henry from running the ball, even though they knew that's what the Titans were going to do. Offensively, they did nothing. I mean, I think they had less than 100 yards maybe for the game, or at least until a garbage time drive late. They got a really bad combo of not great pass protection. Receivers don't get separation. They couldn't run it well enough. Quarterback missed some throws. They're bad.
Number 31, the Detroit Lions.
I don't even know what to say anymore. Feel bad for KJ and Chuck and people. They're not that bad. They're not that bad. They're just not good enough to actually win the game.
Number 30, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Very disappointing group. Very. I really thought that they would be better than this. I thought Doug Peterson coming in would, sort of change the culture down there. Got off to a good start, but man, ever since then, it's been ugly.
29, Pittsburgh Steelers.
I was talking with a Steelers friend of mine last night. There's not a lot to feel good about. There's not a lot that you feel. I mean, their receivers are pretty good, but they're not getting enough out of them. But you don't feel good about the O-line. You don't feel good about the running back. Maybe you feel okay about Pickett. Even the defense, which is what the Steelers thought they would hang their hat on this year, got torched by the Eagles. Maybe TJ Watt will help.
28, Indianapolis Colts.
So I'm a big fan, personally, of Frank Reich. when he was a quarterback coach with the Colts, I would talk to him, different places. I would talk to him before games. He's from sort of where I'm from in Pennsylvania or close to it. Just an awesome, awesome man. And I think this is the end for him, right? I mean, I think they were trying to last-ditch effort with Ellinger, and it felt like after last year that just getting Matt Ryan in there that they'd be able to – I thought they'd win the division. And now it's looking like there's going to be a lot of change there in Indy.
27, the Panthers.
Panthers moved up 3 spots, and they lost. And I think that's primarily because I thought, and I mentioned this yesterday, I thought they were better than the Falcons in that game. Steve Wilks says P.J. Walker's the starting quarterback going forward. So forget Baker Mayfield, forget Sam Darnold. Isn't that amazing? I love that, actually. You've got the number 1 pick in the draft, the number 3 pick in the draft, and this dude from the XFL or AAF or whatever it is ahead of them. I love that.
Number 26, the Cardinals.
There's a lot of really disappointing teams in here. I mean, the Cardinals are obviously a major disappointment. I think they'll be a little bit better the rest of the year because they have Hopkins, but I don't really expect them to go on a run. They feel like another team that should consider a coaching change at the end of this year potentially. But I will say this, for any of those, how you finish matters, and there's a lot of football left to be played.
Number 25, wow, Green Bay Packers.
That's unreal. I mean, that's as low as I think the Packers have ever been. But what is there to say anymore? I mean, they've lost so many games at this point in a row. I mean, it's funny because I go on a bunch of different, radio outlets or whatever, right? And it's just interesting because people were talking about the Bills like, the Bills didn't look that great. And the Packers were encouraging. It's just remarkable to me that we are at a point in time where the Buffalo Bills beat the Green Bay Packers by 10, and it's almost like what's wrong with the Bills and the Packers. It's like a moral victory. Think about that.
Number 24, the Denver Broncos.
I like checking out. Now, the Broncos don't play at home for a while. But one way I kind of get the temperature of the team is to see how much tickets are going for. Now, their next game's against the Raiders, their next home game that they're showing here on November 20th. Still $116 on the Game Time app. But I think that's because the Raiders are big rivals. Broncos Chiefs is up there too. Because later in the year, the Cardinals and Chargers games are a lot less expensive. I am obsessed with the Game Time app right now. Fastest growing ticketing app. It guarantees the lowest price on tickets to all your favorite sports, concerts, and shows. You can literally see the view from your seat in the app. Checkout takes less than 30 seconds. How much would tonight's game be? Ooh, it's back up to $891 for the World Series tonight. Interesting. Download the Game Time app, create an account, redeem code Ross for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's Ross for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Number 23, the Las Vegas Raiders.
I feel like I'm being hard on Josh McDaniels. I'm not trying to be. I remain very frustrated that they didn't give Rich Bisaccia and Mike Mayock another chance. They took them to the playoffs last year. Like, what was the rush to get rid of those guys? And Raiders fans are like, oh, you don't think Josh McDaniels better than a career special teams coach? Right now, no, I don't. Their record's kind of 2-5, guys. You think Bisaccia would be worse than 2-5? Because I don't.
Number 22, Chicago Bears.
Probably talk more about it tomorrow when I go over all the trades, because today is the trade deadline. But the Bears traded Roquan Smith to the Ravens for a 2, a 5, and AJ Klein. Bears, it's really interesting because they're in full-blown rebuild mode in the second year of a quarterback's contract. So it's like they're going to have to make a decision on long-term for Fields before they really have a good team around him because they're getting rid of their good players right now.
Number 21, the Rams.
Disappointing. Really disappointing performance by them so far. Now Cooper Kupp, they say it's not serious, but something to keep an eye on.
Number 20, the Cleveland Browns.
Really impressive win. So what's interesting about that is I think if they lost, Kareem Hunt would have been traded for sure. And the Browns would maybe even trade some other guys and realize this year's kind of a lost cause. They're 2-6. Let's get ready for 2023 and Deshaun Watson. Now that they won, I wonder if they think, hey, 3-5, we just got to be 5-6 when Watson comes back. So we got to win 2 out of our next 3 to give ourselves a chance when we get Deshaun Watson back. That's interesting.
Number 19, the Washington Commanders.
So the Commanders are a pretty interesting team right now because they've won a couple in a row. Heineke is, leading them to come from behind wins late, doing what Heineke does. And all of a sudden you look and it's like the Commanders are 4-4. They're a pretty decent football team. And it makes you wonder what their record would have been if Heineke had been starting since the start of the year.
Number 18, the New Orleans Saints.
That was a huge win for them. Huge win for their psyche. Huge win for their season. Because now they're right there in the mix in the NFC South. And they didn't just win. They looked really, really good in doing so. Really good in doing so. So I'll be curious to see whether or not that was a one-game aberration or if now would be the good time to get on the Saints for the rest of the year. I mean, you've heard me talk about them before, but Symbol has their best offer yet for new users. They're offering you guys a $500 risk-free deposit who join the stock market for sports. So when you sign up with code Ross, your first deposit comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you can try it and you can make a risk-free deposit. Think about that. So you have 30 days risk-free, you can get your money back. Symbol lets you trade pro and college teams like stocks and even earn cash dividend payouts when your team wins. I know this because I have stock in the Eagles, which has gone well. Download the Symbol mobile app for iOS by searching SIMBULL in the App Store and use code Ross to get your risk-free deposit up to $500. Whether you want to invest in an up-and-coming team like the Giants or the new top dog like the Bills or the Saints, Symbol allows you to buy and sell team stocks and profit from your sports knowledge.
Number 17, sitting atop the NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons.
Arthur Smith's a good coach because they do not have a ton of talent. And for them to be sitting, I wasn't sure they'd win 4 games all year. So he deserves a tip of the cap for that, finding a way to win 4 games with that team through the first 8.
Number 16, the New York Jets.
Big drop for the Jets. Different team without Breece Hall. Hard to be a top 15 squad when your quarterback plays that way. The most important thing for the rest of the year for that team is that Zach Wilson performs better.
Number 15, the Tampa Bay Bucks.
I don't know. I thought about putting them lower, but then I sit here and I think neutral site, best of 5, best of 7 in my backyard or Wichita, Kansas. I kind of would take the Bucks over the Jets and the Falcons in a best of 5 in my backyard. So that's where they are.
Number 14, the Patriots.
Patriots are kind of a middling team. It's interesting because I almost feel like this is like the new normal for the Patriots. is just to be like a 500 team. And I don't know when they'll be better than that or when they'll be like an actual contender again.
Number 13, the LA Chargers.
San Diego Superchargers, San Diego Chargers. Brian, I'm going to San Diego Friday morning because I'm doing UNLV at San Diego State on Saturday night for CBS. I'll be in San Diego twice in the month of November. I need to get together with Pro Football Doc, talk some Sports Injury Central, talk some six score. San Diego's amazing. I'm looking forward to it. San Diego State has a new stadium, except they don't have the Chargers anymore. Chargers had a bye, not much to say.
That's on the same plot of land that the old stadium was on.
That's what I heard, yeah.
Should be good. All right, number 12, the Bengals.
My first NFL game ever, by the way, was at the old San Diego Stadium. Playing for the Redskins, we played at San Diego. And I remember that place was rocking. That was my first time on the field at an NFL regular season game. And I just remember thinking, I had never experienced that before, bro. I wasn't even suited up, but just it felt like the whole place was shaking. That was a first for me. That was cool. Bengals, really, really bad performance. Really bad. They had a chance to kind of like, stay with the Ravens in terms of the AFC North and stay at the top of the wild card race, but they came back to the pack with that disappointing performance.
Number 11, the Seattle Seahawks.
Pete Carroll was right. He was right about his team. He was kind of right about Geno Smith. Might have been right on some level about Russell Wilson. Deserves a lot of credit. He was righter than I was.
Number 10, the 49ers.
I really feel like this team, and I know they had previously lost back-to-back games to the Falcons, which is unacceptable, and the Chiefs, which is somewhat acceptable. But I still kind of feel like they're going to end up becoming a pretty darn good team. I think they're going to be a legit contender in the NFC to go to the Super Bowl.
Number 9, the New York Giants.
And I'm not sure they are. I'm not sure the Giants are going to be in that category. We'll see. They did not look real good against the Seahawks on Sunday. They're lucky that Adoree Jackson made the play that he did. They were winning their fair share of close games. We'll see. We'll see whether or not they can sustain the performance they had through the start of the year when they were winning close game after close game.
Number 8, Tennessee Titans.
I kind of feel like there's a clear top 8 teams. Like there's a drop off to Giants, Niners, Seahawks a little bit. But the Titans, I feel like I know who they are. They're going to play really good D. They're going to run and control the ball with Derrick Henry. And they're not going to be a great passing team, but they just might be tougher than you and tough enough to win the game.
Number 7, Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, number 7. So I think they're right there in tier 2 in the AFC. So I think the AFC, like tier 1 is Bills, Chiefs, obviously. And then tier 2 is like Ravens, Dolphins, Titans. Like that's the next group of teams that I think are going to be in the playoffs and maybe able to make some noise.
Well, speaking of the Ravens, they are number 6.
They certainly think that they're in that category. I think they're trying to take advantage of Lamar Jackson before he costs a lot of money by bringing in Roquan Smith and really trying to make a run at this thing. That's a lot to give up for Roquan Smith without knowing whether or not you're going to be able to give him a contract extension. Teams don't usually give up a second-round pick without feeling real good about the fact they're able to get a deal done.
Number 5, Dallas Cowboys.
So the Cowboys are part of tier 2 in the NFC. Tier 1 in the NFC is just the Eagles. I mean, it's just the Philadelphia Eagles. They're in a tier by themselves right now. But then next is like Vikings, Cowboys, not ready to put Giants, Niners, or Seahawks there. Cowboys, when Dak plays that way, and when they realize that Pollard's better than Zeke and give him the ball more, they're going to be a tough out They're going to be a good squad.
Number 4, the Minnesota Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings. You know, they're 6-1, man. It's almost like the quietest 6-1 ever. And I'll tell you why. Because week 2, Monday night, in front of everybody, they got their butts whipped by a bunch of gosh darn Eagles. You know the movie, Bri?
1985, Revenge of the Nerds.
Such an unbelievable movie. I think that might have been one of the first movies where I saw some things that at my age I probably was not supposed to see yet. But somehow the movie.
How old were you? Like 6 at the time?
Yeah, it probably wasn't right when I was 6, but 7 or 8, I don't know. Somehow we had it on the VCR, or maybe it must not have been on TV. I don't know, but I watched it pretty young. That and European Vacation. Those were the first 2 that I watched where I got an eyeful. And
yeah, I think Caddyshack was for me.
Did I say anything about the team, Vikings? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, they're 6-1 and they're good. Number 3,
they're good, except they got smoked by the Eagles.
Chiefs, number 3.
So, yeah, they had a bye. Not much to say. They're a very good team. I'll be curious to see what they do with Kadarius Toney. I am more concerned, though, with Labatt Blue Light. Because if you looked at my social media last night, at least my Twitter, at Ross Tucker NFL, I had a lot of fun for Halloween. My trick-or-treat Yeti was filled with Labatt Blue Light goodness. So good. There's no better way to watch your team on game day than with the pristine Canadian goodness of a cold Labatt Blue Light in hand. I want you guys to drink Labatt Blue Light, and I want you to take pictures of it, send it to me, and I will retweet it because it's amazing. Stock up and be the MVP of your tailgate and share a Labatt on game day with your crew. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA. Buffalo, New York, Bri.
Is number 2.
You like that? Just teed you up on that bad boy. Just teed you up. I said it earlier when I was talking about the Packers. The Buffalo Bills, it's amazing to me that the Bills win by 10, and I'm getting like, what's wrong with the Bills? Why did they only beat the Green Bay Packers by 10? That's what a world. What a time to be alive.
Russ's number 1 team, which is totally meaningless, but it's fun and will get many of you incredibly annoyed, is...
That's pretty obvious. The Philadelphia Eagles.
Can you imagine? It's my number 32 team against my number 1 team on Thursday night. I got to reference that during the game somehow. The best team in the league against the worst. The way the NFL is, watch the Eagles go out there and lose. That would be hard to do. That would be really hard to do. They have a loaded roster. Jalen Hurts playing, quite frankly, better than I ever thought he would. I didn't know he would play this well. They have a really good team, which is fun because I do a lot of Eagles-related things. Other than that, shout-outs are in order. They always are. I love all of our Tuckheads patrons, but especially those of you that are, I think we're done here, members, because you want a little shout out for your biz. Pizza Boy Brewing, Sporticulture, HumanHeadNYC.com, SteakhouseSports.com, Go-Bengals.com, Evergreen Economics, Vision Comics with an X, BackOfficeScheduler.com, and the greatest gift you could give anyone, and you should give someone, MyFrontPageStory.com. Big day at the Podcast Factory. College draft in about an hour. Even money later this morning. I think we're done here.
Thanks for listening to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Fantasy Feast, Even Money, Business of Sports, and College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.